Alright, so I was supposed to do this on a PowerPoint. Like I was gonna upload the PowerPoint to YouTube and it was gonna be all cool, like audio is like automatically timed and everything like that. But for some reason I couldn't get it to upload to YouTube, and I'm kind of pissed right now. But anyways, I'm gonna get through this. But first of all, before I start off, shout out to Tony for getting me all the supplements and helping my friends out. And I really appreciate you, man. He works at the Vitamin Shop in Huntington Beach. Thank you so much, Tony. Really appreciate you, man. And now let's get started on the how to calculate macros in 2 minutes, the quick and easy way. Of course, it's free. Who doesn't love free stuff? Now, before we start, there is a health disclaimer. Please talk to your physician before starting any nutrition program. These recommendations are not medical guidelines, but are for educational purposes only. Take full responsibility for your own safety. I will not be liable, or be held responsible for any injury, personal loss, illness caused by the utilization of this information. Please discuss all nutritional changes with your physician or registered dietitian. All right, now, before we begin, I want you to grab 2 sheets of paper, blank paper. You're gonna need them. All right, number 1, what's your body weight? You need to know this. If you don't know your body weight, definitely guesstimate or weigh yourself, of course, like figure out what your body weight is. Example, mine, I weigh 174 pounds. Cool, so now that I know it, let's move on to the next step. Now, you're gonna multiply your body weight by 16. This will give you a good starting point for your total calories each day. So example, I weigh 174 pounds. I multiply it times 16, I get 2,784 calories. Now, I would write that down. All right, let's move on to the next step. If you just want to know how many calories to eat, stop right here. If you don't want to know about your macros, like how much fat, protein, carbs, if that's too complicated for you, go ahead and stop right here. But if you want to figure out macros, please continue, because we're almost there. If you want to figure out your proteins and fats and carbs for the day, stick with me because we're almost halfway there. General protein rule, eat 1 gram per pound. Now, example, I weigh 174 pounds, so I would take in 174 grams of protein. Yours is going to be different, of course. If you weigh 165 or 185 or 190, you're going to be taking in that much protein, your body weight. Oh, write this one down too. Your grams of protein. All right, so on training days, taking 2 grams of carbs per pound. Now, I weigh 174 pounds. I multiply it times 2, I get 348. All right, this part right here. This part you don't really have to do right now, because on rest days, hold on, let me explain this real quick first. On rest days, eat 1 gram of carbs per, On rest days, eat 1 gram of carb per body weight. Example, I weigh 174 times 1. Obviously, it's 174, simple math. But you see, your macros from your training days and on your rest days, they're going to be completely different. Also, they're both going to be separate equations. In order to figure out your macros for your training days, it's going to be a different equation from... It's going to be the same formula. They're just 2 different equations you have to do separately, not all at once. But for right now, I don't want you to... I don't know why I have this slide, but you don't really have to pay attention to this. Just like move on. So we're almost there. Stick with me. Take out a piece of paper. Well, you already have a piece of paper, but you already have it. So anyways, let's move on to the next step. Now, these are calories per gram of macros. These are the general guidelines you will see on the back of a cookie box or like any type of food. You will always see this: 1 gram of protein per 1 gram of protein per 4 calories, 1 gram of carb, 4 calories, 1 gram of fat, 9 calories. Now, I want you to write this down. You're gonna need this. Give you some time to write it down. You can pause the video and let's go. Next step. I want you to write all of this down. Write down how many calories you need for the day. Write down how much protein you need. Write down how many carbs you need on training days. Write down how many carbs you need for rest days. Write down the calories per gram of macros. Make sure it's all neat and organized, because it's about to get messy in just a second. And I don't want you to get confused or have you go back and like pause the video and then go back to the last step and be like, oh shit, I fucked up in that one part. All right, I'll give you some time to write that down. Pause the video or whatever. All right, let's get started. Number 1, got it down. Cool, here's what's next. We're gonna take this step by step. Multiply your protein requirement by calories per gram of protein. Example, 174 grams of protein times 4. We know where we got that 4 from. Multiply, I get 696 calories of protein. I'm gonna write that down on a separate sheet of paper. Cool. Next, multiply your training carbs by calories per gram of carbs. Example, my carbs on training days are 348 grams times 4 equals 1,392 calories. Now I'm also gonna write that down on a separate sheet of paper. Cool. Let's go. Now you're gonna add those two together. You're gonna add the calories of carbs with the calories of protein, and you're gonna get a number. My number is 2,088. Now I'm gonna write down that number on a separate sheet of paper. Alright, so you added the two together. Now my number is 2,088 calories. I got that from adding my calories of protein and carbs together. Alright, now here's what you gotta do with that number. Subtract that number from the total calories you need for the day. Example, my total calories, and I know how I got that. I multiplied my body weight times 16 and I got 2,784. And I will subtract that from the calories and the carbs added together, which was 2,088. That's where I got that number from. Subtract them both and I get 696. Now that number right there, the 696, is the calories of fat. Now that I got my number, I'm gonna divide that number by the calories of fat per gram, which is 9. We saw in that diagram earlier, it was 1 gram of carb equals 4 calories, and so on. So I'm gonna take 696 and divide it by 9. I'm gonna get 77 grams of fat. That is how much fat I need for the day. And basically, you're done. You just play it all in now. You get the 174 grams of protein, that's my body weight. 174 times 2, and that's how I get the carbs, 348. And the formula we did earlier is how I got the fat. So you're pretty much done now. That was pretty easy. I know this video is about like 10 minutes long, almost 10 minutes long. But if you learn the formula on your own, it doesn't take you that long. It will actually take you 2 minutes. That's why I call it how to calculate your macros in 2 minutes. But anyways, let's move on. What about rest day macros? Like I said before, your rest day macros and your training macros are gonna be two different things. They're gonna be different numbers. Now you can figure out your rest day macros by the same way you did this one. Just use the same formula, but use your rest day carbs instead of your training carbs. Typically on rest days, your fat is going to be higher, and on your training days, they're going to be lower. So if you want to figure out your rest day macros, you can do that on your own time. This video is mostly just how to figure out your macros. Pretty basic stuff, straightforward and fast. Alright, so if you want to bulk, I don't know how you would use the formula for this one, but you would just add 300 calories to your daily calories for the day, and if you wanted to cut, you would just subtract 300 calories from your daily calories. And figure out macro wise, I don't know how you would do it, so you can find out your macros, your bulking macros. Maybe I'll do a video on that later on, but right now I just want this simplified version of how to calculate macros, the no bullshit approach, the no jargon, the no like macro calculator or like BMR index or some shit like that. I just wanted straightforward shit, alright? Now, if you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, please like and subscribe and comment. I would really appreciate that. Thank you. And thanks for watching. This is Old School Dan checking out. Peace.